What's going on, guys? Kigerr here, and today we're going to be talking about Omega cards, how to get them, which ones to go for, and what sets can really help out any character. Let's get into it. So, Omega cards. First off, how do you get them? Let's take a look over here, Operations Most Wanted. If you click today's target, which is what you normally see, and then if you go over here to Most Wanted, in the bottom right hand corner over there, you'll see normal target reward count 0/7, prime target reward count 0/2. You can click whichever one you want to go to and just go to them. But if we take a look right here, the primes, which are in red, you'll see that if we go here to rewards, it shows us as you rank high on the kill, you get higher rewards. As you see, rank 1 is 5 of them, rank 2 is 4 of them. As well as some of these upgrade box, which is more towards companions, not what we're talking about here. Also gives you more gold, which is something to look out for. But then if we go to the normal target, it'll just be one box. Now this is why the first 7 non-primes and first 2 primes of the day are so important, and you want to go towards one of two things. Either A, you're going to want specific cards, so you'll go to specific bosses, such as, let's take this Ultron for example. If you specifically want a card that drops from Ultron, you would go for Ultron. And others, you would want to go towards mass or higher tier. So if we go here, Dark Domain, you'll see if we go all the way up here to, let's say, Queen of Lies, or Hela, you'll see it's green instead of white or common. So you would want to do higher tiers to get higher level star cards. So that's how you get your daily allotment of them. Now let's look at the actual cards themselves. So I'm going to ignore my stuff and go to over here to card sets. This is how you see them with their specific bonuses. If you want to see what they're like at 6-star when they roll their grade, you can come over here to the card codex, which will be every single card at max stats. So Iron Man, that's the max fill-in damage that he can have right there. Something I want to talk about while I have this up right here is the sets. So as you see, he is set 9. If I have the 2 set, like it says right there, 2 set, 4 set, 6 set, because there's 6 cards in the set, then I can have defense, HP, and attack. Something to look at over here is if you hit the set, it actually scales. So while the 2 set, 4 set, 6 set are interesting, it scales as we get more stars. So if I have the 2 set, for example, 1 star can go to 6. 1 card can go to 6 star, meaning it has 6 star max. But if I have the 2 set, the 2 right there, Star Lord and Iron Man, for example, the most they can have is 12, right? So if I click right here, 12, then it'll say I will get 1.55 defense. But if I only had 1, as you see, it's 0.9. If I had all 6 equipped, look at the numbers right here, 0.9, 1.26, and 1.8. But if I had all 6, then 4.35, 6.09, and 8.7. So while yes, 2 sets give you stats and can be some interesting numbers or things you can't get in other ways, having more cards in that set give you more of that stat. But once we go over here to card sets, I'm going to go down all the sets and tell you which ones I think are useful and how and what situations they would help you or the character you're playing. Set 1, I don't put a lot of credence into. Set 2 set is defense, set 4 is HP. These cards aren't that great. There's 1 attack one, it's whatever. You don't really want attack based stat because you can have other stats that you can't get in other ways down the line. Let's take, for example, set 2, which is one of my favorite 2 sets. And if we take this, for example, because it's a 4 set max, the star value scales in a different way than the 6 card set value. So, same thing here. If I have a 2 set here, 6 star, that's 12 stars. But this is level 3 instead of level 2 that it was in the other set. So if I go here, then I can get more than double what we have with the other thing. So what we're doing here is crit damage from the Red Skull card. Wonder where you're going to get that. Red Skull. Crit damage, and if you want to know where to get it, you just click this yellow up here at the top. You can get every card in the game from the shop, and then Hydra Empire, Hell's Kitchen. The only boss there is Red Skull. So the other card that we're going to talk about here is Supervillain Team Up 1975 Cooldown Decrease. This is so important because you're using offense skills and defense skills and utility skills, and if you're using them more often, you innately get more offense, defense, and utility, right? And once we have the 2 set of crit damage and cooldown, so we're attacking more often and we're critting more often, which as if we're just looking pure offense, this is one of the best 2 sets in the game. And then on top of that, you get a 2.2 attack bonus, which isn't a lot. You also don't really want just attack just to have attack, but just as the cream on top, it is nothing to slouch at. Set 3 is an interesting one. I've had people try to talk to me about some interesting things with set 3. We got Defense Pierce, Max Damage, Supervillain, and Attack. Some people have tried to talk about this because of the Supervillain damage on it, and giving you HP to last through invasions, things like that. I don't think this is what you should be doing. It can be a crutch, but because of how scarce the resources are to increase your cards, I don't think this is something you should be looking at. Set 4, on the other hand, is a very good option. I think this is one of the best PvE sets we have. So let's take a look here. Our cards at the top, we have the 2 Nebula cards and the 2 MODOK cards. The 2 Nebula cards are Supervillain Damage Decrease, whereas the 2 MODOK cards are Villain Damage and Villain Damage Decrease. 2 set Stamina, 4 set Ultimate Gauge. Ultimate Gauge is only going to help some characters. Depending on the PvE content, a lot of it is Villain and Supervillain, so the 4 set is not bad for that. But we do have things like Raid or Alliance Raid, which is primarily supervillains, right? So you would ideally just want the 2 set 2 Nebula cards to get that stamina recovery. Things like Storm, Iron Man, Strange, the big stamina drinkers can just go to town on that. Now if we look at what we got with 12, 5.8% stamina recovery. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is. But if we're talking about other game modes, such as Invasion or Blitz, some of the other big ones in the game, there's a mix of Villain and Supervillain where you would want all 4 cards, which will put us down here at about 12% stamina recovery and 12% Ultimate Gauge recovery. That can be big for Widow, Captain Marvel, things like this. Magic. Set 5 is a very interesting one, and is primarily a PvP set from what I've seen. I do have a 2 set in here that can be good, and that would be the Crossbones card for crit damage and the Captain America 2004 for Defense Pierce, which are very valuable PvP stats. But with the inclusion of Alliance Raid, I think this can be a good 2 set for the Alliance Raid bosses, because crit damage is obviously good for doing more damage, and these bosses do seem currently to have more defense than other bosses we've seen in the past. So that's a good 2 set, which will put us at 12, which will put us right there and give us 1.5% attack on top of that. And who knows, maybe that will put you into that invasion cap, the 1.53 whatever, for step 5 Thanos invasion. These 2 set bonuses can really help you hit some numbers, breakpoints, things like that. The only other one to talk about here is the Captain America 2004, which is villain damage. This could be used for your overnight farming, training grounds, things like that. I like using 6 cards of villain damage for my training grounds and AFK farming, just to kill it all as we go. Set 6 is probably, if you're just trying to be a free-to-play player, I think getting this as a 4 set is not bad at all. I think doing the 2 set 2 with the crit damage cooldown and a 4 set of set 6, because it gives you attack, defense, HP, and crit damage, with the 4 set, 2 set being crit damage, 4 set being crit rate. If we look at it at max, it's 17.35% crit damage, which is a 6 between a 5-star and 6-star crit damage core, and 8.12 crit rate, which a 6-star crit rate core is 6.07. So this is more than a 6-star core of crit rate, and between a 5-star and 6-star core of crit damage, just on top of having the base stats that the game cares about, that they weigh the highest: attack, defense, HP, and then crit damage. These are also the 4 things that enhancers boost. So having a higher base of those numbers means enhancers are more effective, and things like Omega War, Alliance Raid, things like that. Continuing on, set 7 can be seen as a really good 2 set supervillain damage set, because we have Defense Pierce right there, supervillain damage decrease. So you have an option here. If you want to build towards Alliance Raid, and if their defense is in fact higher than it's supposed to be, and it's not just a damage issue, don't know what that is right now, but if they do just have high defense, then a 4 set here would be pretty good. 6, 12, 18, 24. Take that down here. Just on top, we get 5.65 supervillain damage and 5.32 defense pierce. And the 4 we would pick is Avengers Back to Basics 2018, Warriors 3 2010, Thor 2018, and What If Thor 2018. If you're just trying to do the 2 set right here for supervillain, you would be going for Warriors 3 2010. And if you're having trouble with some of the skills staying alive, you would go towards Thor 2018 for the supervillain damage decrease. But if you're just trying to do more damage, then Avengers Back to Basics 2018 would be a really good card for you. Set 8 is only really good for Spider-Man specifically, which is a little interesting here because so if we look at, you only want the 2 set for the dodge for Spider-Man, so 12 right there. It's 3% dodge. What does 3% dodge really give you? I think that's right about a 3-star core of dodge, which really isn't a lot, but stacking 90% dodge for Spider-Man is important. So we take a look: HP, attack, defense pierce, attack. So the defense pierce for sure if you're trying to do PvP game modes. The 2 attacks are whatever, but the HP is something Spider-Man actually wants, because if you're going the Octopus or Green Goblin Madness route, where you're minus defense for plus attack, then HP is where you would want to be as far as what we have right here. You can, if you're just trying to one-shot an opponent, either of the two attack cards would be a good alternative. I personally just don't like attack cards. Then we talk about set 9. Set 9 is a confusing set because it's not really sure what it wants to be. We have villain damage, we have attack as our special cards, which is weird because the 2 set is defense. It's just kind of all over the place. Super villain damage from Black Order 2018. So you can have something like Iron Man Black Order. So you have villain damage and super villain damage. That can be something to do, but then it's a 2 set defense, which doesn't really help anything. I do want to point out one of the 2 guard damage cards is in this set. This is something to keep in mind for Magic, Captain America, some Spider-Man builds, things like that. Guard damage card, Avengers 2016 is something to look out for. Then we have defense and HP, whatever. So it's a very interesting set because it's not very sure what it wants to do and doesn't really have a focus of what it's trying to do here. Set 10 is weird because we got defense pierce, super villain, crit damage, and villain damage. So if you want to do a super villain damage build with this, I do like the super villain damage Avengers World 2014 and the Avengers 1963 crit damage. And if we take a look down here, that would be 2.2% attack on top, which is nothing to scoff at. What is interesting here is if you're doing a more PvE rounded build, the 4 set, if we take a look down here, for 4.35% attack and 6.09% total damage, that total damage is a very juicy number to go after. But the villain damage kind of hurts because there aren't very many game modes where it's just villain damage. The only thing that you can really use this with effectively is Training Grounds, and it can have some niche uses in tiered battles such as Blitz and the Invasion. So if you want to use this, I think the Avengers World 2014 and Avengers 1963 is decent. Then on to set 11. And beta, a lot of people talk about this as being the best set in the game. They just take all 6 and do it. Which, if you look down here, it's 17.4% PvP damage increase, 8.12% defense pierce, and 4.3 attack. Those are some juicy numbers. PvP damage increase is a valued stat. And then you have attack, crit damage, guard damage, which is the second guard damage card in the game. Then we have things like crit rate, max damage rate, and ultimate gauge recovery. Now this was touted a lot higher in beta because max damage rate wasn't called max damage rate. It was called accuracy, which a lot of people thought was attack speed at the time. There was a lot of videos and proof, and it turns out it was never like that. It just optical illusion. You're thinking you're attacking faster because of how the rotation of moves goes. So that takes a hit. What is important here is we do have some interesting 2-set applications with the Maestro card giving ultimate gauge recovery, which is really nice for Magic, Captain Marvel, and Black Widow. And then Captain America 2004 giving crit rate, which is good for all 3 of those characters as well. But the Kingpin card, guard damage, being really good for Magic, Captain America, and as I said previously, and the Avengers card in set 9, some Spider-Man builds really want guard damage. I'm sorry I didn't mention earlier, but also Chill Lords, Spec Star-Lords really want these guard damage as well. So let's take the Star-Lord for example. He would want guard damage crit rate to go here. And then he would get the 2-set attack, which would be 12 right there, 1.55. Next, set 12. 12's a weird one. It's not really sure what it wants to be. PvP damage increase and cooldown. If you can get both of those, it's one of the best two sets that the game has right now, because those are two super valued stats for those particular game modes. It gives defense, but oh well, it is bonus stats. Then we have guard damage decrease. This is one of the only two in the game. One got added in, I think, set 13. We'll see in a minute. And you'll see the guard damage decrease is 19.2, and when we look back here, guard damage is 19.2, so it's a 1-to-1 comparison. Then we have HP, HP recovery, and defense. Stats we don't really care about. On to set 13, which got added when Dormammu was added to the game. We have the Doctor Strange card, which is supervillain damage decrease, is not super needed because you can just play around the mechanics. But if you want to AFK farm a bunch of these bosses and stuff, invasions or whatnot, this card will help you do that. Then here it is, War Machine 2008 guard damage decrease, the second guard damage decrease card in the game. HP accuracy, the only accuracy card in the game. This will really help you against Spider-Man specifically, or someone who's super spec'ing to dodge, which no one really is right now. So primarily Spider-Man is where it helps out. Then we have defense and defense. So I guess if you really want to go ham, you can do New Avengers Defenders and do Captain America build, which is just flat defense. I want my defense at 40k. I don't suggest it, but I mean, it's there. This is a more cohesive set right here, because as you see, 2 set HP, 4 set defense, 6 set supervillain damage decrease, which, if as we looked over what these cards do, is generally what these cards are wanting to boost. Set 14 is, I don't really pay attention to the set. It does have cooldown decrease as the 6 set bonus, but you have to lose a lot to get that 6 set bonus. If we look at it at max, it's 8.7% cooldown decrease, which is only slightly more than a Thanos badge right now. I do like using a 2 set of this, so 12 for the 1.55 attack, by using these first 2 cards, Hulk 2008 and Fall the Hulk's Red Hulk 2010, because they're both villain damage cards. Like I said, when I do my AFK farming or training grounds, I like to have maxed villain damage. But then the next one's villain damage decrease, not really important. Attack, attack, max damage rate, things we don't really care about. You can go out of your way to do attack and attack to have the 4 set and have total damage, which is juicy, and it is more attack, but it's not really. You have way better options, as we've already seen all through the previous sets, that this loses its power with everything else combined. And then finally, set 50, which is one of my favorites, to be honest, because I want to work on some magic and Captain Marvel things. That 4 set ultimate gauge, ultimate skill level plus. If we look at the 4 set here, 24, it's only +2. And we're so if we take a look, we have range damage decrease, melee damage decrease. You can do both, but you usually want to focus on one and play in that playstyle. So if I take this one, melee damage decrease, I generally want to stick on my target and only ever be in melee. So this is the only one that will ever happen. We got attack, which are whatever. But the next 2, I really like that they're in the game. We have crit rate, X Factor 2005, which is, as you've seen, our second crit rate card after the set 11 Arnim Zola card. So I really like having this in the game. And Angela, Queen of Hell 2015 crit damage. So I think those last 2 work really well as a 2-piece for PvP game modes, because that 2 set is accuracy rate. If we go to 2 set right here, 2.03% accuracy. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that is as much uh, close to as much as special badge accuracy rolls. I think this is 2.03, and I think I have a +2 special badge that is 3.99. So it's a little over half of a special badge, which is nothing to scoff at. So now that we went through all of them, let me do just a quick breakdown. TLDR, what's the best ones? So if we're talking about just overall, you're free to play, you don't know what to work on, I suggest Set 2, Red Skull 2010, and Supervillain Team Up, and Megardia 4, all four. That's my 6 card set for free to play. I just want a set that works and just work these up. That's what I suggest. If you want the best possible without specials for PvP, then you'll want things like this 2 set 2 is always going to be good. Crit damage, cooldown decrease. Then if we're talking PvP, you can go one of 2 ways here. The other 2 that is a must here would be the last 2, X Factor 2005 and Angela Queen of Hell 2015 for crit rate, crit damage, and accuracy. So that's 4 out of 6. The last 2 are a flex when we're talking about PvP. So if you're talking about just base stats that all characters would like, then crit rate in the Captain America 2004 card is great. Then this goes into the specialization here. If you're a more guard damage focused character, you can go Kingpin 2017. If you're a more ultimate focused character, Black Widow, Black Widow, Captain Marvel, and Magic, then the Maestro card, Future Imperfect 2015 for Ultimate Gauge Recovery, is a good way to round that out. If you're not interested in those 2 ways right there, then going set 6 for attack and crit damage with a 2 set right here of 8.7% crit damage is a great way to go. Now, best non-special PvE, we would be looking at, we're always going to go back here to set 2, Red Skull 2010 and Supervillain Team Up. Then we talk set 4. Set 4 will, the full set 4 will help in supervillain / villain game modes where you have both in them. But if we're talking about specifically supervillain, then it would be just the first 2 that are lit up right there, the 2 Nebula cards for stamina recovery. Then you have the option here, and that option is to either go set 7 for supervillain damage, and then either supervillain damage decrease or defense pierce for the 2 set supervillain damage, or you can go set 10 for crit damage and supervillain damage with 2 set attack. Let me know in the comment section down below if this breakdown helped you out, if it was too long, what you liked about it, things like that. And hopefully I'll be able to help you in the next video as well. Till next time.